say something that might shock people. Punctuation in Shakespeare, not all that important. What? My stars? What did she say? Now hear me out. I say this with a caveat, unless we're talking about the first folio. You open up your edition of the play. Here I have a copy of the Arden, but whatever your preferred edition, if you have the Folger or the RSC or whatnot, if you open it up and look at this text, all this punctuation here, it's not Shakespeare's. All this punctuation was put here by editors. Very smart, very educated editors with good intentions, but editors nonetheless. The closest we can get to Shakespeare's punctuation is by going back to the first folio. The first folio is our primary source for most of Shakespeare's plays. It was printed 7 years after his death, and it was the first time his plays were printed together. And if you look at the punctuation in the first folio, it's pretty different. Just as an example, this is taken from the Folger edition of Hamlet. Now take a look at the punctuation in the to be or not to be speech here. Now compare it with the punctuation in the first folio, here. While modern editors use punctuation to make the plays easier to read, the punctuation in the first folio is actually more geared towards actors, because remember, these plays weren't meant to be read, they were meant to be performed. Now, even in the first folio, we don't know for sure that this punctuation is Shakespeare's, but at the very least, it's the closest we can get to how his actors would have performed it in his lifetime. In the first folio, end stops, meaning a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point, mark the end of a thought. And there aren't nearly as many of them in the first folio as there are in modern editions. And this is really helpful for the actor because people don't think in sentences or lines, we think in thoughts. In the first folio, a comma, a semicolon, or a colon mark a shift in thought or the refining of a thought, but not a new idea. Whenever I'm working on a speech, I like to go back to the first folio for punctuation, and I make a mark on my script at every end stop. Again, periods, question marks, or exclamation points. This helps me organize the speech into thoughts, it keeps the thoughts flowing, and it helps me with pacing too. If you're interested, you can find facsimiles of all the first folio texts online at the University of Victoria's website. So while punctuation is important, because it's important that you organize your character's thoughts, all I'm saying is that you don't have to be as precious with it as you are with Shakespeare's words, because again, we don't know that this punctuation is his. So at the end of the day, my advice with punctuation in Shakespeare is take what's helpful, leave the rest. Let your own discretion be your tutor.